Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast, where wealth is energy, success is a mindset, and abundance is your birthright. I am Danielle Amos, your host and mentor, here to help you unlock prosperity, embody confidence, and manifest a life you love. Take a breath, align with your truth, and let's manifest millions. Rudrani Devi is an authentic shaman descending from generations of gifted women within her family lineage. Considered a medical intuitive in the healing community, she studied and became a certified vibrational healing and life alignment technique through the National Institute of Health in Boulder, Colorado in 2004. Rudrani is a woman of many, many lives. She was a producer in music. She is an author of best-selling books. She's got 3 books. She is an actress. And we have her on the show today to talk about her experience in 2008 in Bombay, India, and how she went from victim to victory. Through that experience, she will share, her and I talk about how life happens for us and to really trust and be willing to connect the dots looking back, even an event that can cause trauma or something that you don't really prefer. So let's dig in, and here's my guest, Rudrani. I'm here today. This is the very first guest of the Mystic Millionaire podcast, Rudrani Devi. Thank you for being here. A very good friend of my bestie, Jake. So I'm so grateful that she brought us together.
Me too.
And that you are here. First official guest. So let's get into it.
Okay.
First of all, I know I'm sure you've had many significant events in your life. And I'd love to talk about the one that happened to you in India.
Okay.
If you're comfortable getting started with that.
Oh, sure. Let's get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
And then we'll backtrack.
And
what got me there?
Yeah, I'd love to know what got you there and why India. I personally know why India. I love India. And I'd love for our listeners to hear about who you are and who you were before that event, what happened. And then I'd like to really get into it around what's happened since for you.
It's been a joy bomb. It's been a ride for sure. Ups and downs, but all very valuable without trying to make it sound too significant. Twists and turns are great because when you think you know everything and then you find out it's like the opposite of what you thought it was.
Give me an example of that.
Whew. Well, just because, and I'm not throwing them under the bus.
Yeah.
Just because an organization has a word consciousness in it does not mean that everyone that's in the organization is interested in consciousness. I just assumed that if you signed up, that was your priority.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of unconscious people in this particular organization and a lot of conscious ones too. And I love the tools, still love the tools of access consciousness. But I learned not to just take everything at face value. I've got to be willing to ask the question, hey, does this work for me? Hey, doesn't this sound funny to you? Hey, they're telling me this, but is that actually real and true for me? Which is what the founders would say. But I found that I would be following certain people and things, you get that funny little, and so, should I be drinking this Kool-Aid or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tattooed this on my arm this year. Trust yourself.
Oh, that's
because I think we know. Yeah. Is this for me or not? And it's not for anyone else to tell us. It's like...
Correct. In my interesting point of view, I agree with that. Absolutely.
So tell us what took you to India and what happened while you were there. Because it was 2008. Is that correct?
Well, I was dating a boy I liked a lot that introduced me to entrainment meditation.
Okay.
Technology meditation that takes you from a theta state. Yeah. Well, hopefully you're not starting in that state, but all the way down to the delta, the low vibrations that get your heart rate going real slow. And I could get mine down to 41, which is crazy. But it was this way of just calming the mind. I took to it immediately because it's a lazy way to meditate. I find now that I can meditate, well, since what happened, a lot better without the entrainment technology. But that's what started it. And he ended up taking me to meet his guru that had created this technology.
Okay.
So there I was going on all these silent retreats. And although the guru was not Indian, he followed an Indian guru, Paramahansa Muktananda. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was one of his top guys. Okay. And he wanted to stay at the ashram, but his teacher had told him, no, I have bigger plans for you. I want you to take this back to the United States and get those lazy Americans interested in, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I don't know if that's what he said, to meditate. And so he came up with this entrainment technology, which is not new. There was an institute also in Virginia that was doing the same type of thing. So I got into that. I went even further. I became a certified meditation teacher and a holistic living teacher through Synchronicity Foundation.
Okay.
And after years, they decided to take this big trip to India. And although his teacher was gone, he wanted us to go to all the ashrams, listen to the Brahmin priests, all these things that normally you can't get in unless you know someone. So,
what an incredible opportunity.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God, Michelle.
Yeah.
We were just meditating our brains out. We was crazy meditators, loving it, every minute of it. I mean, I've been to Ireland, okay, because when I was a film producer, we did Garth Brooks in Central Park. And there's like a pub in every corner, y'all. Well, if you go to India, there's a shrine in every corner, and you might not be able to get to where you're going because there's this giant elephant in the middle of the road and nobody will move the elephant because the elephant has the right of way.
Or cow.
Or cow. Or cow, which is true. There's a lot of cows. There's a lot of
cows.
There's a lot of cow dung
Yeah.
in India and pee, and it's kind of like New York in some places as far as the pee part
An
goes.
assault of the senses, I thought, when I landed. Yeah.
You'd have incense in one corner, and you'd have all these, and spices, and like if you go to market, which is amazing, I bought scarves and silks and all this stuff. It's just incredible, the sights and the sounds, and your senses, it's like overload, man. There you are, and you can't possibly get it all in. And even if you're taking pictures, you look back and go, I don't remember that. What was that about?
Yeah, so true.
So I wanted to go experience this, and I didn't have the money to do it. I had just opened a place on 12th Avenue South where we taught meditation. We had yoga. We had all kinds of woo-woo stuff. I would do some channeling, energy work, this type of thing. And so we got to be known fairly quickly because we were so weird back in 2008, 7, 8, when the market drops, and yet we're still able to keep our business going. I got kind of a reputation with a few people that were more well-to-do. And one of them was a woman named Linda who kind of took us under her wing. Sometimes she'd bring us all lunch, and she was doing every modality with me. She was paying for other people to come to do modalities with me. She did not want us to go anywhere because, we were just making it. And usually they say you've got 2 or 3 years, right? Well, this trip comes up and she wants to go. I said, well, you've got to be a part of the organization to go. But I tell you what, they've got a retreat coming up. Why don't you come with me? So she did. Fell in love with the guru, fell in love with everybody. And I could see that he was reluctantly wanting to do it, but he decided that she could go. Pretty intense energies with these meditations. We would meditate for hours at a time. Seriously.
Yeah.
So she was my roommate and whatnot. She paid for my trip.
Wow.
I just didn't have enough. I'd put a deposit down, but I just couldn't see it with having to put the money back into, the rent and,
Well,
Sam's.
she was your how. Like the how's not up to us, right? If we're meant to be there.
Yeah. I tried everything. I even tried buying lottery ticket gel. And I was like, please, I'm praying so hard. And the universe heard me and sent Linda.
Yeah.
And so we were roommates. That's how we got there. And I had every sign. Everything was trying to keep me from going.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
It was kind of we get to the airport. I remember my now ex, he stood there with me and he goes, come back
Oh, wow.
to me. And I got a really weird ping about it. And I thought he meant that I was going to move to India. I don't know. I don't even know if he realizes that he said that.
Right.
And he'd given me a stuffed kitty cat that looked like Pepita, one of our cats, with a tag on it that said, all the names of the cats love you. And so I said, you just want people to think I'm crazy because I got this stuffed cat in my backpack. And people are going to be looking at it and go, what is that grown woman doing with a stuffed cat? But Okay, so I digress. So he drops me off. The plane keeps getting delayed because of weather. By the time we actually board and get there, our plane is taking off from Atlanta. So we have to stay in a hotel. And the next day we come back and we're trying to get our way to India. And they had to reroute us through Beirut. And they opened all of our suitcases and just took whatever they wanted.
Oh, wow.
And then by the time we get to India, which is like a day late, I've already missed some things. I don't even have my suitcases. Linda has hers, but it's been picked through. I don't get my suitcase until literally 3 days before I'm supposed to leave. So when we get there, the first thing we do is go shopping, and I buy all this interesting clothes. Let's just say I was really glad I had a flat midsection, because all the clothes is short change and you can't tuck them in.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to show any, it can show cleavage and stomach, but they're, it's weird that they can't show like your ankles or whatever. So, and I got into head wraps and all the things, but I had people tell me something bad's going to happen. You shouldn't go. And I kept meditating on it and getting it. Your life is going to change and it's going to create. And I didn't, I don't ask the question, is it going to create better? Because that's a point of view. I just want to create. So if I choose this, will it create for me? Will it create worlds? Will it create my life and living the way that I came here to create it? However it shows up. Yeah. Which means I could die.
Well, I just got shivers. Like the way that I came here to create.
Yes. That's the way I ask.
Because that's not a conscious, that's not from an everyday perception to ask that question. That's like a higher level, higher self question, a higher perception question.
I want to be here to be what I came to be.
Yeah. And I'm okay with what comes at me, for me, in order to do that. So that's interesting that you say that. I just got shivers. I want to kind of riff on that for a minute, because I remember about 2 years ago declaring and saying, God, I'm ready. Show me, I'm ready for whatever needs to come for my next level.
Sure.
And I remember declaring, it was like this line in the sand moment that
I've had enough.
And I knew that I was meant to make a bigger impact. I knew that I was kind of playing small. So I'm like, okay, just I can hold it. I can handle it all. And then it was like, boo, it's been boom. So it's almost be careful what you're asked for. And
be ready, man.
Be ready. And know that it wouldn't come if it wasn't for you, if you couldn't handle it.
Amen,
if there wasn't an opportunity on the other side to transmute that and let's get into the event for your purpose, your mission here in this beautiful body that we call being human.
I love this body so much. It got really... Body, I'm so sorry that I drag you into walls sometimes. Sometimes I'm in such a hurry. The ADD is real, y'all. And I am on the spectrum. I just don't take anything for it. And I embrace that.
Yeah.
I do, because it makes...
Your energy is incredible.
Multidimensional, multitasking.
I know,
Thank you for saying that.
Feel it.
But I mean, we've done body classes in Access and all this, and this body means so much to me, because no matter what I throw at it, somehow it keeps up.
So talk to me about this event.
Okay.
2008, let's fast forward to what happened.
So we had been doing several classes, met another guru, a woman guru, which I'd never met before. Joan Saval. I met her first, but she was more or less talking to her teacher and kind of channeling information. And so the two of them kind of buddied up, Master Charles and this other lady, and I can't remember her name now, but she was a very big guru, or I imagine she still is.
Yeah.
And they would teach these classes together, and she spoke mainly Hindi, but there was translation and all this. And
what part of India were you in? Because
we were in Mumbai.
So this might give the listeners, if you remember, what happened in Mumbai, 2008.
Yeah, so Mumbai is what they call it, but Bombay is the official name. And God, how do I just jump into that? 2008, happened on things happened. Love it. Nothing just happened, y'all. It doesn't just happen. The event was on 2008, on the day of Thanksgiving. So I was catapulted into the news, because here I am. We had been shopping all day, and we were getting ready to do several days in a row of silent retreat, beginning the very next day.
Okay.
And so we had come back to the hotel, and normally we were planning on going to eat at this Italian restaurant we had heard about, but it was outside the hotel. We're going to have to walk to it. But it was so late. They were like, we'll do that the day before we leave. Let's stay in the hotel where they all knew us. I mean, they were like, had our table already ready, and we'd gotten to know the staff really well. And we're sitting there, we just ordered our food. And I guess, the food came, we heard these pops, but it sounded like firecrackers. And so my friend, Michael, who lives in Canada as an actor, a voiceover mainly, said, I'm going to go see what's going on. He gets up, comes back, doesn't miss a beat, says, yeah, the staff said that it's just some hooligans in the street, not to worry. And then he sat down, our food showed up, and I could have counted to 10 maybe. And that's when the pops became very loud, because now they're inside the building, and we're in one of those hotels.
What, was it a big
It was the
foreign-
Oberoi.
Okay.
Oberoi, which is a very famous hotel in East Asia. They're all over the place. Oberoi family.
Yeah.
And beautiful hotel. But it reminds me a lot of a hotel we have here that I can't remember the name of the chain, but you go inside and you have a common area and you can see the elevators are clear. You can see them going up, and there's a balcony for each floor, and then you go into your room. And so you had this really loud effect. If somebody was playing the piano downstairs, you would hear it. We're on like the 11th floor or something. You'd hear it, because it was echoing upwards. And so were like deafening sounds. And because of those deafening sounds, I actually, when I'm performing, have to wear special earbuds so I can hear myself over guitar amps and that kind of thing. I'll just jump forward again. Anyway, so all of a sudden I see these two kids, and they look like children. All caps, Nike t-shirt, like 14, 15 years old, strapped with all this arsenal, and just indiscriminately mowing people down. And what came to me was, they're here to get a disgruntled employee. We need to get at the table. They'll take out whoever it is they want to get, and the rest of us will get through it. I was wrong, but having that thought made me fire out a command. Because when you're in a situation like that, it's fight or flight.
Yeah.
And neither one of them is going to keep you alive, right? A lot of people froze, and it was just carnage.
Yeah.
But what I screamed was, everyone get under the table now. And we did.
Yeah.
And the 6 of us at the table, 2 didn't survive. The other 4 did.
Wow.
3 of the 4 were hit by bullets. I was hit 3 times. My right tricep was shot out. My neck was grazed here. And my right femur was shattered by an AK-47 bullet.
Wow.
I mean, they're like this big.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there was a big wooden table, and that slowed it down, because if they had just hit me, without the blockage or whatever, it would have been like, shooting a pumpkin. There would have been nothing left. And that's the carnage that I saw. Now, what came to me to even say, get under the table, when I was a film producer, I represented different directors. And this one director, Alan Coulter, God love him, he would send me, we did some music videos together, and then he sent me, he was an executive producer for this little known show for a new channel, paid for TV channel. None of us thought people were going to pay extra for TV, HBO, right? Guess what?
Yeah.
We were wrong again.
Yeah.
So he is an executive producer for this little known show called The Sopranos.
Oh.
And he sends me a few episodes on VHS. And so one of the first episodes was horrifying. I mean, they go into this little dive pizza joint, and it's Tony Soprano, and he's sitting there having his pasta, right, with his cronies. And this guy comes in, and he kind of gives him a look like, that's the guy. And so the guy sits down, he orders by himself, and then somebody else comes in, and Tony goes, drop, and he pulls up this AK-56 automatic arsenal. It's amazing how much I know about guns now, y'all. And everybody drops to the floor, and he takes the guy out. They grab him. They drag him through the kitchen. They roll him up in a carpet. They throw him in a dumpster, and like clockwork, this truck comes, picks up the dumpster, and hauls him away. So that's where I got the idea. Oh, they're just there to take somebody out. Because after that, the scene is Tony. Everybody gets up, and Tony goes back to eating his pasta. He goes, okay, so we're going to do this, you guys. And he talks about it in something else. It was so casual.
Wow.
And if it hadn't been for Alan sending that to me, I don't know if I would have had the wherewithal to say what I did.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, I saved my life.
Yeah.
I saved 3 others' lives. Unfortunately, one of my mentors, Alan, and his 11, 12-year-old daughter were not spared, but she was screaming so much they kept coming back and firing at us again.
Oh.
And I could feel the shooter's foot on my pant leg. And I'm playing dead. My friend got hit in the head, and so brains and blood were all over my face. I looked dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I hoped I looked dead.
Yeah.
I didn't open my eyes, and I could feel the bullet shells just hitting me in the back and burning my back. So I had little scars. Now they look like little tiny, I don't know how to explain it, but it looks like part of my body.
Yeah.
So pretty wild, huh?
Yeah. I
feel like I'm talking about a Netflix movie because I don't feel like that even happened. I did not go to see the movie because my body just doesn't want to relive it.
What's the movie called? How about it?
Oh my goddess. There were two made, but the Hotel Mumbai is the one that was really famous. And a friend of mine was like watching it and going, "Is that you in the kitchen?" And I'm in the middle of a band rehearsal. And I'm like, "Yeah, don't tell me about it. I'm in band rehearsal. I'll talk to you later."
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that I ever had PTSD because of it. I mean, I can go into that space of where I saw the people. And, you know, as an actress, I go back there and I can supply tears for y'all. You cry on cue. It's called method acting.
Yep.
But I wouldn't want to put my body, I mean, I honor this body. And I do what it says because it's a lot smarter than I am. You know, I shut my pie hole and say, "Okay, body, what is it? All right, we're not going to see the movie. We won't see it."
Yeah. Fair.
So, yeah, the PTSD is more from childhood traumas, but yeah, I already had tools by the time this happened. I didn't blame the terrorists. Anything that did me a favor, they got me out of a terrible marriage, just terrible. So thank you, you with your 10 wives versions, all of you.
So you're in the restaurant. This happens. You're playing dead, and the terrorists leave, or
Well, they went. There was a wedding party that came in unbeknownst to this. They went and mowed them down.
Oh wow!
After they'd killed Alan and his daughter Naomi.
Right.
And so I heard a voice come out of nowhere. I'd never seen this door before. And we had eaten at this restaurant that was open to the lobby, the Tiffin. And they had sushi also. So they had this little window. And I'd seen the window where they would put the sushi out for people to grab it because half of the menu was sushi and then everything else. And hamburgers, cheeseburgers, American food and whatever. But there's this little door. And I hear this man go, "If you want to survive, you have to come now." He's like tilting his head. And I'm looking, and so I try to get up. And that's when I see a piece of my arm laying there. I'm like, "Oh, I can't." My hand's shaking. I'm like, "Oh, that didn't look good." And I'm, you know, so I've got one good hand. And then I see my pants leg is just soaked in blood. And I see this tiny little hole in my little yoga pants. And so I just threw my arms up and said, "Drag me." This guy comes out of safety, y'all, grabs my wrists and drags me over all this carnage to the kitchen. The terrorists happen to notice. And they come after us. They barricade the door. My friend Linda managed to get up. She'd been shot across the back through her butt cheek, but she could get up and run. She got there. And then the one person, boy, does she have survivor's guilt, that didn't get a single injury, who was also from Canada, was there. But Michael was still laying out there. Fortunately, we did get him later because I set the place on fire and he survived it somehow. But needless to say, they barricaded the door. They were trying to break it down. Then they threw a grenade through the window and it landed about from you to me. And I'm watching it go, and it looked like one of those small Coke cans, like a miniature Coke can.
Yeah.
And from what I understand from the FBI later, they're supposed to go off on impact. So they had a dud. But
my goodness.
Yeah. So there we go. Twice now. Somebody drags me to safety. They could have been killed. And then this thing doesn't go off. But they know they're going to be able to get in the kitchen eventually. And so I was like, "You guys just go." And there's a door. But the key to the door to go outside is on the manager who was killed, that's laying there. I mean, I saw him, eyes open. People don't die with their eyes closed, I don't think, because everybody had their eyes open. It was one of those moments where, well, that's just weird. You know, you're like, I'm in so much shock. I'm not even feeling the pain till later, boy, when I felt it. But basically, they weren't going to leave me. They were trying to do the door, and this guy must have cracked a rib trying to bust the door down. He gets it open. They pick me up, and that's when I see that it's not just that hotel. There is chaos going on. There are taxi cabs running amok. They're trying to get one to stop. He slams on one of the cabs. It backs up, takes off, finally gets one to stop, throws me in the back seat, and goes with me, which I didn't know at the time. He ended up staying with me until after surgery. That's a whole other story. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know he snuck in. He was the guy that I had to get my laundry done every day. And so he would bring it to me and I'd over tip him. Or if we went shopping and I had just a tiny little bag, I would have him carry it up through and over tip him because they're all underage or whatever. But he stayed with me, but he got us to a hospital, and eventually I was seen. They pronounced me dead, put a sheet over me. What? But I kept seeing skirts going by. So I kept trying to grab a skirt, and I was so weak. I'm trying to do it with this right hand, and I'm seeing the blood all over dripping off of my hand, and I finally must have gotten somebody's attention. She pulled it back and screamed, threw the sheet back on, comes back with an Indian doctor with a British accent. He goes, "Oh, this one's still alive."
Oh my goodness.
And then I was just in and out of my body constantly. It's crazy. I wrote a book about it.
Tell us about that.
Right. Back to the States. I was in a wheelchair and I had a lot of time on my hands. So I wrote this Atlas Shrugged.
Amazing.
Really thick book. This one's 400 pages, y'all. It even has pictures in there of the events that took place, strategically placed in different places. Like here I'm eating. I was in the vegetarian ward and this food was so bad, but it wasn't even good vegetarian food, because it didn't have any salt or anything. And I'm like, come on, you Indians are supposed to be real flavorful. What happened here? But anyway. So I was going to try to find another. Yeah, here we go. Here's another picture.
So known as the Bombay terrorist attacks of 2008.
That's me when I finally got the blood out of my hair.
Wow.
2 weeks later.
Wow.
My ex took that picture because I had so much blood and bones still in my hair.
Wow.
I look like a Rastafarian, but bestseller.
So I'm interested in talking to you about what's happened since. And I'm a big believer, and I would love for our listeners I'm going to ask some questions that perhaps out there in the real world, people might be like, oh, I can't believe you're asking her that.
Yeah.
Because
I make their butt itch. Are you sure you want to go there?
Yeah. I believe, Rudrani, that life always happens for us. And although you had many, perhaps, opportunities to not get to India, the truth is you chose India.
Oh, yes. I think India chose me.
India chose you, and you persisted. And I believe that you were meant to be there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you believe that now? Can you see connecting the dots of how you had to be there? And it was part of the attraction of who you are and who you were becoming to have that experience. And it feels like almost like there was no way that you couldn't not have that experience as to the way that you're here impacting the world now. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Because I say this to some people and, in a way that's with all my heart, so empathetic to your experience. And at the same time going, you didn't ask for this. You didn't ask to be shot at. But yet,
necessarily, I asked for change, I guess.
Yeah. And at the same time, the how isn't up to you. When we declare that we are who we are and we're on a mission and you're so anchored in that mission and that you're willing to go through or have situations be attracted to you that are meant for you. Sometimes people out there or the public can hear, well, what you're saying is that she wanted this. Right? But do you know what I mean? But that can be perceived that way.
Bring it on. Give me the worst, because I'm a glutton for punishment. No, that's not at all. But I do see it as a gift.
Yeah.
Today.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Well, okay, so what's interesting also is I'm an empath. I'll say that near-death experience that just kept on giving, the gift that just kept on giving, because it didn't happen once or twice. I would say probably half a dozen times I'm popping it in and out of my body, and I'm getting used to it. It's like I'm trying to find my friend Linda, and I find her in a room down the hall. I'm like, okay, so she did make it. Great. Where's Michael? Can't find Michael. Oh, shit. I hope Michael wasn't killed. I knew Alan was killed. I knew Naomi was gone. I knew they were gone. But Naomi was stuck. And so I was trying to help her go to where she needed to go without going.
Is this something that you were familiar with before, like the popping in and out of your body because of meditation, or
Yes,
okay?
but not in this.
Yeah, of
To
course.
this degree, it's like crossing a string. I meditate and I can still sort of, have those little. It's like I do remote healing, body work, and I have people that I work on in India, in Italy, and Mexico, Asia. I mean, it's not. There's no such thing as time and space.
Mm-hmm.
We walk through walls. We could. If of us believed it, we could create that reality. Okay? So what I discovered later was there were so many people around me at the time of their death that they just saw a body that was alive and jumped into it. So I had like an anthill of people in me and I didn't know. I kept getting these conversations and stuff and not knowing what was going on. And I was able to help them eventually, once I figured out what was going on, choose to create either to come back in a body that gets created, in the womb, or to be a guide, or to maybe go to an alternate parallel or whatever universe. There's billions out there, I've been told. We've probably been there. We choose to not remember certain things when we come here so that, for whatever reason. Choosing a body, from what I understand or what I've been told, is actually one of the coolest, even though there's weird stuff going on in the world, it's like the prize. It's really hard to be born in this reality. It's hard. There's a lot of little squigglies, but only one gets to make it. And if you realized just how amazing it is that you got here, wouldn't you want to choose something different? Wouldn't you? So, I don't know. I mean, when I could finally walk and my ex had impregnated somebody else, so, we had to divorce so he can marry them and give the woman the insurance for the baby and all the stuff. And here I am with no insurance now and having to sell property to pay for my medical bills and all of this. I take a trip with my girlfriends to the beach and we're walking on the beach. And I said,
What year is this?
2010.
Okay, a couple years later.
It took me 2 years before my doctor would actually release me. And I said, I know what it was. Okay. I'd put something before the other thing. So what happened was I'd written the first book and then I decided I was going to run the Boston because I was training for it when I got shot. I was literally on the treadmill running that morning, looking out over the water where the terrorists had killed a fisherman, dumped him out of the boat and took the boat to shore. And I'm literally, at the time that they said that they arrived, I'm looking out the window running on a treadmill.
Okay.
I don't know, about 8 kilometers or so. I was going to do a quickie before we all went out and, meditated and went to ashrams and things. And so here I'm in the best shape I've ever been, which my doctor told me if my bones hadn't been so big, my leg would have been shot clean off.
Wow.
Because it literally put a hole through my femur bone. So there's like 2 little sticks holding the femur together. So I had to wear a prosthesis that goes over the leg. And they squeezed it real tight until the bone finally
healed itself.
Grew. Yeah. So, and now I'm like, no, what was the point of this story?
Okay, so you said you were about to run the Boston Marathon. So you were training for that.
And so.
And that would have been later in 2008.
That would have been, yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, it would have been May of 2009.
Okay, got it.
So what happens is now I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm determined to run it. My doctor will not release me to run it.
Excuse me? You were determined to run the marathon.
Anyway, even if I had to run it really slow, because
after having your femur shot.
Shattered.
Okay.
So
okay.
it was my bucket list. I'd run 9 marathons. This was going to be my 10th and final one, which I did get to run eventually. I'd run 200 halves because I was running a half every weekend to be up to par for marathon status. That way I was on another 10. This is how crazy, This is called PTSD, by the way, because you find things to keep your body going so that you don't, I was abused child, and so I wanted to always be really strong. I was a bodybuilder. I was Miss Knoxville in '84 for bodybuilding. Because my mind was this, you've got to be strong. If some guy comes after you, you need to take him out if you have to. Not that I want to. Not really that kind of person, but I want to be able to protect myself.
Yeah.
Father was real abusive physically. So here I am wanting to train, and my doctor finally, and you can find it on YouTube because I actually took that interview and put it on there. And when I want to feel good about myself, I go back and look at it because it's, from when I finally ran the Boston, which was 2008. And so he finally releases me, and I had to have a letter to give to the Boston people. And Adidas hears my story and they give me a hard luck pass to run it because there's no way I can qualify for it now. There's no way. I've got a pencil leg. I'm still trying to get, there's like a 3-inch difference between the legs. And training for that marathon got my leg back to almost, it is now the same, but I got it back to almost. You could see it, kind of side-eyed me. But worst race I ever did, but I wasn't trying to get my best time. I was dancing with people. I was singing with the choirs that were on the side of the road. There was a rock band. I went up and sang into the microphone. I was having a good old time.
Alive.
Yeah. My worst time, I did it in 5 hours.
Wow.
Which is a good time for some people.
I was going to say, okay.
3:30 something, my best.
Can we talk about that?
I know.
Okay.
Oh, it's hard on myself.
Okay, so when you look back, how have you used this event to keep you on purpose, to have you remember your purpose, or what?
Well, it was interesting that you say it that way. I mean, the book did what it did, and then I was at a book signing that I was doing. I was running these half marathons for the women's marathon group, whatever. Now I can't even remember the name of them. They ended up selling their franchise. But I was in their magazine. They interviewed me. I got to meet my idol who had run the Boston. She even wrote the foreword.
Yes.
For the love of running.
And I love the tagline of this. A marathoner's journey from victim to victory.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you could have stayed a victim.
Oh, yeah.
From what happened in 2008.
There were several people that did.
Yeah.
Still, I actually left the meditation group because they had such a different point of view about it than I did.
Okay, but why? Okay, I just got shivers now again. What had you choose victory and not remain a victim? Because as a victim, there's a lot of payoffs. You get a lot of support. Oh, well, like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, and I didn't actually get any real financial help. I didn't have travel insurance, so none of the expenses in India were covered.
Wow.
Thankfully, because of, oddly enough, United Healthcare, which is the insurance that I was on, I didn't pay a penny when I got back because I'd already met all my deductibles. And it was over $300,000.
Wow.
So fortunately, insurance is a terrible thing and a great thing depending on how you're looking at it. And I'm actually licensed in 14 states to sell.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of insurance.
And the things, people, when I was getting trained, they said, you talk too much. I said, I want people to know what they're getting. And I want to let them know what they don't need. It's important. But anyway.
So what had you choose to let go of being a victim and choose victory?
I didn't see another choice.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
I had all this heavy metal in me.
There's that word again, choice.
Yeah, in this case, I didn't have one. I was like, I've got heavy metal poisoning. My hair's falling out. Your body's trying to tell you, you know what? We don't like this. Stop eating that. What's wrong with you? Quit being stupid. Listen to me. I'm trying to tell you. But there's these people that go so unconscious. But I love, donuts. I'm actually not a big donut eater. I don't like sweets, which is weird. I'd rather have the salty. I'm a very salty character as it is, but that's where I go with it. It's like literally following the energy.
Yeah.
What feels light? What's going to create here? If I choose this, what will it create? Choice always creates.
Always, yeah.
You can't not.
And we always have that decision. We have that ability to choose. And that's a huge reminder. And I love that your book's called that. Because most people.
8 languages, y'all.
We said in the beginning of this, and I'm not sure if it's part of this podcast or part of the bonus for our subscribers, but we did say like what most people don't understand is that they actually have a choice.
True.
And that every point in life gives us opportunities to choose every single moment. So it becomes like, what do you choose now? What do you decide? Beautiful.
Yeah, and that way it's always an adventure. It's not.
And you take responsibility. Then you're not the victim, because anytime that you're a victim, you're giving your power away to the circumstance, the event, to the other person.
Yeah, and you're being a superior asshole to your body when you do that. Your body is not. Yeah, your body is going to do. It loves you so much, it will do whatever you want it to do. But don't think for a minute that it's going to be happy about all your choices. Eat the rest of that cream a la mode or whatever it is, and you'll pay for it later.
The impact.
I'm going to let you eat it, but am I going to make you suffer, or whatever.
So, Rudrani, I thank you, first of all, for sharing your story and for being here with us today. I feel like there's so much more for us to talk about. Like, we're just scratching the surface.
I know, right?
And there'll be other opportunities. I know that. This is just the beginning.
Giddy up. Ready. I'm ready.
So, for our listeners, any last words that you'd like to share? Any last words of wisdoms? What's coming through for, I know you also channel, so what's coming through for everyone here?
I can't believe that I am getting this.
Yeah.
I'm going to just tell it like I hear it.
Okay, let's do it.
Sometimes you just got to shut your pie hole. Sometimes it doesn't matter because no matter what you say, the other person or organization or whatever it is not going to hear you, feel you, figure it out. And you don't have to be received. You know, you don't have to be. As long as you do you and you know who you are and where you're coming from, why fight, I guess is the point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll give you a very quick example. My family that I grew up with, immediate family, they're either Catholic or Mormon. And they're always going, we pray for you.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that one.
Hell, the handbasket.
I've heard that one.
And
That's
I'm
just like,
so this is the way I deal with it. I'm like, thank you so much. I really appreciate you praying for me. That means a lot to me. God bless you. So I give them what they can hear instead of this resistance and reaction. You know what I'm saying?
I used to say, don't pray for me.
Well, yeah.
And I do what you do now. And it was a learning for me. Like,
Because for me, it's like, okay, with praying, the universe hears them too. Hey, there's so many paths up the mountain, y'all. The view from the top is the same. So just, find your path. Let others find their path and don't have a point of view about it. Shut your pie hole. Get along now.
shut your pie hole.
Shut your pie hole. Thank you so much for that. I didn't know they were going to give that to me, but yeah.
Great, incredible wisdom. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you. We'll share all your handles, your social media, where listeners can find you.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I encourage you to reach out to Rudrani. Let us know what resonates with this interview and what you'd like to hear more from her, deeper about her story, so that we can do this again and really get our listeners' feedback. And for those of you who are subscribers and the Millionaire in the Making, we call them Mystic Millionaires in the Making, part of our subscribers, there's a whole behind the scenes that Rudrani and I already recorded where we were just, getting to know each other. And we're going to put all that in the subscriber edition of this podcast for you. So go listen. And that's a real treat. So thank you again for being willing to do that.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Expect abundance. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you, my new friend.